Welcome everyone. This is Cory Strathman with Grace in Your Corner, and today I am going to be joined by two lovely ladies. I have Kailey Patton and Krista Stallbaumer joining me. Ladies, thank you for your time. How are you doing today?
We're great, thanks. Well, thank you.
So we will dive into exactly what these two ladies do in just a second, but today's topic of conversation is really going to be focused more around our Grace in Your Corner Outreach Center, which is based in Seneca, Kansas, Nemaha County, and specific services that they provide. So before we jump into exactly how Kailey and Krista are going to help and direct and give you that information, because ladies, that is the main purpose of today, is I want you to have the platform to truly explain to people what's out there, what services are there, and when in doubt, what they can do. But Grace in Your Corner Outreach, I want to talk a little bit about that. It's located in Sole Provider on Main Street. And for those of you that aren't aware, really Grace in Your Corner is just piggybacking off of my story, the Grace in Your Corner mission, and letting people know that you're not alone. Letting people know through my experiences, through the voices of others that have stepped up, that support is there. And that shame that you might be feeling, that doesn't have to be there, that the resources, the help, things can get better. So with the Outreach Center, we're not professionals. My parents are in there running it. They have volunteers. Myself, we're definitely not licensed specialists. But what we want people to know is that there's support there, there's resources. We give and provide a lot of education because we think that that's crucial to be educated. But really, we're trying to connect the dots and places that they can be able to seek support. And that's why I have you two ladies here today. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pass it to you. And Kailey, we'll start with you. Why don't you give us some background of exactly what you do, what your title is, and then we'll jump to you, Krista. So Kailey, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Okay, so my name is Kailey Patton. I am a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist and a licensed clinical addictions counselor in the state of Kansas. I just started here at the hospital about a month ago, and my official title here is licensed clinical mental health provider. So what that looks like is we are providing therapy to clients in the surrounding areas, including individual, family, and couples. And we're hoping that by having it in the clinic, especially in the rural health clinic or Seneca family practice, we can reach a lot more people and help people who are struggling with different challenges in their life.
Awesome. And then Krista?
I'm a social worker. I've been with the hospital for 11 years now. I mainly work with the inpatients who are in the hospital. I do a psychosocial assessment with them just to see if they have any issues that I can help them with, or make referrals, help them adjust to illnesses, that sort of thing. I work with all our patients on end of life care and their families, and help them give them emotional support throughout that process. And then I do bereavement follow-up care with the families after a loved one passes for a year. And then I also provide individual sessions for people who are struggling with grief and loss. And then we also have two support groups, a grief and loss support group, and then those that are have lost a child. So I do an infant loss support group as well.
Yeah, all of those, can really overlap and overlay with similar issues, but really exciting to have that opportunity for Kailey to join the Seneca practice, and the hospital, as a bigger focus continues to be around mental health. So what would you say, how far does your range extend when you talk about providing services? Can anyone call? Do they have to be in a certain area? What does that look like?
Nope, they can be current clients of the Seneca family practice, or they do not have to. We are set up both ways.
Okay.
So basically, if somebody is interested in our services, we would encourage them to give us a call. That doesn't mean that you have to schedule an appointment today. Even if you're just wanting to get some more information and to learn about the services that we offer, we welcome those phone calls as well. Or if you just have some quick questions, we'd be more than happy to answer that. So, I mean, we provide services to youth, and we provide services to adults.
Wonderful. And Krista, as far as, I mean, I talked about connecting. You really are the specialist. You know you have a very firm understanding of what is around you, of where to connect the dots. When in doubt, pick up the phone and call you. Is that what you normally tell people?
Absolutely. Yes. I get a lot of referrals. A lot of people just come in and see their doctor for a health issue, but then our doctors are really good about talking to them about mental health as well. And so if that's an issue for them, they can send them to me. And I can help give them a listing of therapists in the area that they can reach out to, and things like that. So they can call me, and they don't even have to be our patient. If someone's out there in our community and they're not a patient of Seneca Family Practice, I'm still more than happy to help connect those dots for people, find those places. If they have a group, they need a grief support group specific to suicide. I just have a lot of resources, and so I really just try to get whatever your need is and match you up with the person that I think is going to be able to help you the most.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges that I see from people when they reach out to me is they don't know. They don't know what they need. And how do you connect the dots when you're not sure exactly where to start, what to do? So that's why I think there might be a little hesitancy to pick up the phone, because they can't really articulate what the issue is. Do you guys have a checklist or a standard form that you kind of go through to try to help narrow that down? Or what does that look like for the person that's just, where do I start? Where do I begin? What does that phone call sound like?
You go ahead.
Okay. So when somebody initially calls in, you don't know what, is going to happen, and you don't know what they're going to say. And so it's just starting that dialogue, tell me why you're calling today. What can I help you with? Or what are some challenges that you're experiencing right now? Just leaving the questions open-ended so they can share what they feel comfortable sharing at that time, and then depending on whom they're talking to. And then just really normalizing that, hey, it's okay. We can have these conversations, and then I can help direct you to different resources that we have, maybe not only in this area, but in our larger area as well.
Yeah. Well, and I come across a lot of people too who are, we go to the doctor for a lot of reasons. And then, like I said, the mental health things sometimes come up, or it's just a lot of financial strain. And so I get all those referrals too. If you're having financial strain, and it's, you're having depression and anxiety, and the financial strain adds to that burden, I can help them find discounted services, free medications if we need it, all those kinds of things as well. But really, I just try to let them talk and see, I sometimes will give them some options of different types of services that are available. I can't make the phone call for them to get them into services, but I can definitely give them the information.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I did want to talk to you about insurance. You just covered it there, though. Financial should never be one of those barriers to get in your way to get the support, the help that you need. So just hearing that, I want to say that one more time. She can help you look for financial resources to get the support you need. And what I love that you said, Kailey, is yes, the hospital wants to help. From what I hear, you're wanting to help if you can, but your main goal, your main mission is to get them connected with the help that they need. The overall goal is the person, the individual, to help them get right, to help them get support. I love that. That's the approach you have to take in mental health, because it's such a wide gamut. So that's really good, and to hear that from you. So let's talk about another factor that could come into play, and this came into play for me, and that is fear. The fear of being labeled, the fear of others talking about me. And I know that's whether to pick up the phone or not, that was debate in my mind. Like, what if someone finds out? What if people are going to say that I had depression, or if I'm struggling with addiction? And then I was raised in Nemaha County. I know that it feels like a smaller town, and there's more dialogue that goes on to that. What do you tell someone that's scared of being in a smaller town like Seneca or surrounding Nemaha County towns that doesn't want the conversation to be out there? Like, what do you tell them, or what would your advice be to someone that has that playing in their mind?
Well, to start off with, personally, I think, several years ago, we had no, as far as associated with the hospital, we had no therapy services, no psychiatric services, substance abuse services. None of those were available at the hospital until the last few years. And so what I find really nice is that, with us being able to start these services, for one, we have clinics through the outpatient clinic. And so to me, I think some of the stigma underlies with going to a mental health facility. to get those services. And so when we can do that here at the hospital, you walk in the hospital doors, people have no idea why you are in the outpatient clinic. They don't know who you're seeing. So I think that does help. And then again, now that we have the therapist on the clinic side, no one's going to have any idea why you're walking in the door. They're going to think that you're sick. They're not going to think you're here for therapy. And while that doesn't like help stigma overall with the community, that does take some of the pressure off of you feeling like you're getting those services. And mental health, facilities are great. I'm not saying that. I think it does help reduce some of that stigma though. Make it a little easier for you to seek services when it's under our roof instead of under the mental health roof.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you're walking into a building where multiple areas of care are given. And our goal is obviously, like you had said, with the stigma, our goal is, my mission with Grace in Your Corner is to let people know that it's okay to have battles with mental health. It's just very similar to dealing with diabetes when you compare it to, it's the medical help that you need. However, we're not quite there yet as a society. We're working on it every day. But yes, don't let the fear of that make your decision. What I could say is, when I finally gave in and said, I need this support, this is something that's crucial to my health, I realized that, number one, people were more supporting than I ever thought they could be. It's the fear that your own mind says. Number two, I deserve it. And you deserve it out there too if you're struggling with something. That it's the support that you deserve, because you're not meant to go through life alone. Everyone has their challenges. More people than not have skeletons in their closet, but there's nothing to be scared of to step up and say, you know what, this is an area that I need growth in, and get that support. So that I really appreciate how you stated that.
I think it's also about having that honest conversation and having many of those conversations about mental health. We all experience mental health at some point in our life, every single one of us. Some people become more debilitated by mental illness and mental health challenges than others, and some have a more mild prognosis, and that's okay too. It doesn't matter the prognosis, it doesn't matter the symptoms. It's just having those conversations with, it may be your loved ones, it may be your partner, it may be your children, it may be a community member. It's just having those conversations, those frank conversations about, hey, how are you doing? And it may take multiple times for them to finally feel comfortable in talking to you, but you're at least showing, hey, I'm showing up. Hey, I'm a person you can talk to. I am a safe place if you need to talk. And it's just being comfortable with having those conversations and normalizing that everybody experiences mental health.
Yeah, and normalizing it is difficult. I can feel sometimes people are uncomfortable around me because I can feel them tiptoeing around my story and the support that I seek. And I just throw it out there. I blurt it out because I'm not afraid of that conversation anymore. And, but people don't know how to really approach the topic. It makes everyone uncomfortable. So the more that we can just normalize it, as you said, can make more people comfortable and really get to the underlying topic, the deep conversation of what is the need here. But you said something that I want to address. You had said a loved one, a spouse, a family member. Do you provide any supports for not the person directly if impacted, but the family member or the spouse? What kind of supports could they come and get from you there?
There's multiple different sources that we have. I mean, I can provide therapy in a family setting to where we can work on the family dynamic, or I can see a family member who maybe their other family member is not willing or wanting to engage in therapy services at this time. So they can learn their own skills and how to manage their own emotions in regarding to that. But also Krista can provide support to those family members as well.
Yeah, and even like I will give people information about the Al-Anon groups in town so that, if they're struggling with substance abuse, that's the group for the family, the Al-Anon group. So I'll hook them up with that. If we have a patient in the emergency room who is having suicidal thoughts or has attempted, they can call me in to support the family with that, because it is a struggle and it's hard to see your loved one go through that. So we are here to help everybody.
Yeah. And often I think people feel that their story might be unique, and in a sense they all are unique, but many times you realize there's other people out there that are going through very similar things, and the peer support groups that you can connect. So just having that conversation, gaining the courage, being vulnerable, because we have two professionals right here that can help you connect the dots. And I promise you, day by day, things continue to get better. And then when you're down the path, you start to realize, man, I wish I would have done this earlier because I see how great life can be. We're going to talk about addiction here in just a second, but I want to make sure I've clearly defined to the people out there listening. So let's just say I am starting from square one, and I think I'm battling depression. I'm picking up the phone. Kailey, I call you and say, I live in Seneca. I'm battling from depression. What is my next step? What do you tell me to do?
I'm going to get a little bit more information about some of the symptoms that you're experiencing, at least to just get a baseline of what's going on. And then I'm going to talk to you about options. Are you interested in therapy? Have you talked to maybe your primary care doctor? Are you currently on medication? Definitely looking at insurances as well, so we can give them the most informed choice out there. And then also seeing if this is something that they want to try, kind of assessing where they're at in that ability to accept help and then to accept services. And then hopefully scheduling an appointment if they feel comfortable.
Okay. So you get the schedule of the appointment in there, and then you just continue to have that dialogue and go from there. Therapy could be scary, especially I have experienced from a male's perspective, sitting and talking to a stranger about my feelings. It was hard. For either of you, what is your advice to just giving therapy an opportunity? What is your approach, or what's your dialogue with someone that's very hesitant about the therapy situation?
So when I have individuals, especially from this area, and especially if you're kind of born and raised in this area. So I'm from Seneca, but I'm from Hiawatha. And so I have that discussion with them the very first session of, if I see you out in public, I'm not going to say hi, I'm not going to wave, I'm not going to, call you out by any means. I'm going to follow your lead. If you don't wish to talk to me, that's okay too. I'm going to follow your lead and see whatever is comfortable for you at that moment in time. Also, because there aren't a whole lot of providers here in this area, you have that discussion about, listen, I want to help you through this challenge. I want to, help you be brave and talk about things. But I also realize that I can't be everything for every single person. And so we have that discussion of, if you find a few sessions down, you're just like, man, I don't think this is the right fit for me. That's completely cool. And I want people to be open about that because I want them to have a good therapeutic experience. And I'm not always able to provide that for that person. So what I do is I talk to them about, well, what are some of the things that you didn't like? And what are some things that you might like in your next therapist? So I can help connect them to a therapist that might better fit their needs or just might fit them better.
Yeah, and that's a great point. From my experience, the first off was when I got into therapy, I did not do it for myself. I just did it to appease the people that are with me. You're not going to win in that situation. You're going through the motions. You might as well not even do it. But when I finally gave in and surrendered and said, this is something that I need, reflecting back, because I've had the opportunity to work with more than one therapist, I've started to realize there's things that I like. I really like a therapist that gives me a lot of opportunity with reflective questions and challenges my way of thinking and doesn't just sit there and is more passive. So I've found ways that work for me, but it's right. It's not, you have to be open and honest with your therapist about what would be best for your benefit. And I know that's tough because you don't always know when you're starting, but you experience that more and more as you get into it. So that's just my input on kind of what's helped me through that process. But let's transition to addiction. And a lot of the time you see addiction and mental health, they go hand in hand. For me, addiction eventually overtook my depression, and that was my main concern. But talk to me about addiction. How do you guys handle addiction? What does it look like dealing with addiction? What is someone that is struggling in that area? What do they need to do?
So when somebody is presenting with substance use disorders and symptoms of the similar, we will probably most likely refer them to MIR because we cannot provide substance use counseling per se. What we can do is help the individual who might be experiencing anxiety or depression or trauma reactiveness in addition to the substance use. So like I said, so we can't provide substance use counseling per se, but we can discuss some of the other symptoms that do go along with substance use disorders.
And I see a lot of patients, especially in the emergency room, but also just some referrals from our family practice doctors if someone says that they're struggling with addiction, they will send them my way. And then I will visit with them about, do you want inpatient treatment? And I will help them find inpatient placement if that's what they're wanting. If they just know that they're not ready for inpatient placement, I can hook them up with our substance abuse clinic through MIRS and our outpatient clinic for them to be able to seek services through them just for substance abuse. And the nice thing with that clinic as well is that they do have a block grant. And so sometimes based on your income, and if the grant's available, you can get free substance abuse services. And then our fee through the hospital, if you qualify financially, the fee that the hospital would charge you would also be discounted. So you could get services for very little cost for substance abuse. It's really what the person is wanting. We don't try to force them into anything. It's really what they're wanting. I'm happy to find them detox if that's what they want, find inpatient placement if that's what they want, or if they want outpatient, I will refer them to whatever they are wanting at that time.
Yeah, and for those of you that haven't watched, I have a video with an addiction counselor you can look at on our website as well that kind of breaks down the different levels of treatment that you can have for addiction. But all of these are great resources. Now, so what happens if someone calls up and they say, I'm focused, I think I'm struggling with alcohol abuse. I know I'm struggling with alcohol abuse. And they think that's their primary thing. But then when you start to ask the questions about, do you have any depression symptoms, things like that, then are they able to get services through you, Kailey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we can discuss some things related to substance use, but the primary focus would be on the accompanying depression or the anxiety or the trauma reactiveness that either might be enhanced by the substance usage or caused by the substance usage or anything like that. But for the true substance use counseling, we would refer to the in-house through the outpatient clinic.
Okay. And then one thing we haven't touched upon as much is, say that I have someone that I love that I see struggling. Can I pick up the phone call or the phone and talk to you about, here's what my spouse is experiencing? Do you guys answer phone calls like that? What's that process look like?
We would be more than happy to have a conversation about it, but if it is an adult, the adult person needs to call and schedule that initial appointment. Now, if it's for their minor or if they are a guardian of someone, then yes, they can call and make a schedule. But if it's for an adult, they need to make the appointment.
Well, I'll take phone calls from family members and just let them know these are the resources. So that person who has the problem might not call me, but their family can call me and I can say, there's AA in town, there's Al-Anon in town, there's MIRS, there's whatever thing they're wanting. I can give them those resources. So I might not be the one getting that person hooked up, but I can get the information to their family so they can talk to them about that and getting them hooked up with what they need.
So you would say, when in doubt, pick up the phone and connect.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great. So, because when you get into that situation, there's so much emotion, there's so much just really trauma that's going on in your life that you just need someone to help. You just need someone to listen and help. So that's great. Pick up the phone when in doubt. And you're going to hear that throughout any of my Grace in Your Corner. When in doubt, pick up the phone, make connections, because support is there. So a few more things. You talked about Nemaha County and the things that the hospital's put in place just recently to focus on mental health, therapy, which is great. I love seeing that. I love the progress towards breaking down the stigma, normalizing that this is something that a lot of people deal with. If you were to address the people listening, Nemaha County and your surrounding area, what are some things that they can specifically do to help with the stigma, to help break that down? What would be some action that they could take?
I mean, I think education is a big portion of it. Do some research, take some education classes, like mental health first aid. That is a great course that gives you kind of a good tiptoe or a good comprehensive overview of what mental health challenges look like. Another one is just have those conversations. Talk over and over again, just so you get to feeling more comfortable about having these talks and asking people, how are they doing or how can I help? Another thing is to watch our language and not use mental health challenges as a way to describe things. For example, we hear sometimes, oh, the weather is being bipolar or the weather is being schizophrenic. Being very mindful of how we're using those words and how we use that language in everyday life. And just having that conversation, normalizing it is one of the biggest ones, I think.
I'd agree. And the only other thing I can say is, the more we share our own struggles, the more it, helps others and normalizes it. If they can see someone else right there that they know is struggling, then they're more comfortable, or who has struggled, they're more comfortable to share their struggles also. That's really what I think.
And I thought of another one was person first language. And so for most diagnoses and mental health challenges, that is not them. That is a part of them. That is a chapter of them, but that is not them as a person. And so it is an individual with, or that lady with, or that man with, or something like that. That is a part of them, but it is not them as a whole.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree more, especially on the education piece. From what I witness and observe, a lot of people don't really bother to educate themselves about mental health as much until it directly impacts them. And you'd be surprised at how much it directly impacts everyone. It's closer to you than you think. So making sure that you're aware of it so you can handle and deal with it, I think is crucial. And then sharing your story, like you had said, Krista, the amount of people that openly talk to me about their struggles just because I've vocalized what I've gone through and they feel comfortable with that. I love that aspect of it because, number one, it helps me still. I continue to focus on myself, but then I can help other people because it's nothing to be ashamed of. I want everyone out there to know that that won't define you. I am not defined by being addicted to alcohol. I am not defined by my depression or anxiety. And I will even go as far as to argue that with that adversity, I've become a better person, a stronger person. And that can be said for everyone. So don't fall into the society of we have to be perfect. That, I call it the social media society, where you have to put the perfect post up there. You have to do this. That's not real life. And it's okay to need support. It's okay to have struggles. And I love that you two are bringing a spotlight to that in Seneca, a place that's near and dear to my heart. I'm so glad that my mom has had the opportunity through Sole Provider and our outreach center to make the connection here because we need experts like you to help guide and lead that charge. So with that said, I'm going to give you one last opportunity. Is there anything that we haven't addressed or anything that you'd like to say in finale here about our conversation?
I would like to say I'm just so proud of our hospital and the administration that we have because we have done so many things over the last few years. We had no substance abuse counseling in all of Nemaha County. We saw the need, we've met that need. Again, with the therapist, it's so nice to have a therapist in-house. That's going to be a huge difference for us in our community. Back in January, I talked with our administrator and we decided to take the Zero Suicide Initiative. And so through those processes, we've brought Kailey on. We are training every single staff member that's under our roof with the mental health first aid so that everyone can, not only help them better in their jobs, but with their family and their friends. So that makes me really proud too. And we're working on initiatives to making sure that we're screening all of our patients better for these needs when they're here seeing a doctor for whatever reason, but that we're addressing those mental health needs. And Dr. Stevie's currently taking classes that's going to better help her know how to treat mental illnesses. And then she then in turn teaches the rest of our providers. So I'm just really proud of all the things we've done for our county, our community, and just excited to be a part of this organization because we're doing a lot of good things. And I'm so thankful for your mom too, because it's hard to get the word out, that these things are available. We can publish it all we want, but there are still people out there who don't know anything about it. And so it's awesome that there's a store downtown that you can shop at and, oh my goodness, I didn't know there was a grief support group in town, or, oh my goodness, I didn't know they had a therapist. So that's going to be huge as well for the community to just learn about more things that are available to help connect more people with the things that they need. So that's all I have to share.
And having this opportunity here at the hospital has been great, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Really the possibilities are kind of limitless at this point, and that is both overwhelming and exciting all at the same time. But I have a real passion about mental health, and especially in the rural communities. When I started on my mental health journey, becoming a therapist, I didn't think I'd ever come back to my hometown. I was like, well, the big city, there's a lot more therapists, there's a good group. And I was like, you know what? No, this mental health is not well known or well covered in rural health communities. And so I was like, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to try to make a difference in our rural communities so we can help each other. And that's one of the best things that I've noticed about small town environments, especially Seneca, is supporting each other, is lending a helping hand and being there for when somebody really needs them. And so just to be a part of a small portion of that is a great honor and a great duty and great service. And so I think that we as a hospital will do great things. And I know that the community in and of itself will do great things as well and help support each other.
I have no doubt about that. And you're right, the small community, that's something that you just can't replace, is the love that's there, the support that's there. And I know when you're in that spot and you feel like you're suffering in silence, that it feels the complete opposite. But when you find that courage and that vulnerability to speak up, you will be amazed by the amount of support that people that wrap their arms around you. So Kailey, Krista, I appreciate your time. If there's ever anything that we can do, let me know. And I look forward to hearing about the great things that you're doing in Seneca and through Grace in Your Corner Outreach Center, that my mom is partnering with you and just making a difference. Thank you so much. And I hope, wish the best to both of you.
Thanks, Cory.
Thank you so much.